My first patient as an intern was a strange girl with cancer. She had a beautiful, world-weary face and a terrible temper. On my first night shift, she disappeared in the middle of the night. During my rounds, I found bed 23 empty. All that was left were wrinkled sheets and a pink, paint-chipped thermos on the nightstand. My calls went unanswered, and I was frantic. It was my first night, and I couldn't bring myself to tell my supervisor. I just kept sending her messages. Anna, you weren't in your room during rounds. Please come back as soon as you get this. This is my first night shift. If anything happens to you out there, I can't handle that responsibility. Please cooperate with me. About 3 minutes after the last message, my phone buzzed. Come get me. Dead-end alley behind the hospital. Cut my wrist. No energy. My legs went weak. The heart that had been lodged in my throat finally dropped. The alley was pitch black, the dim yellow light from the street lamps unable to penetrate the darkness. I trembled with fear as I called her name. Anna. A faint response came from ahead. As I got closer, I saw a figure sitting on the ground, leaning against the wall. A girl, casually propped up, one leg bent, her elbow resting on her knee. If you ignored the blood dripping from her wrist, she looked as relaxed as if she were enjoying the night view. You've got to be kidding me, I muttered. She actually did it. I pushed aside my panic and gave her emergency first aid. Does it hurt? Duh. Why else would I do it if it didn't hurt? I put on a stern face, trying to scare her. Do you have any idea how close you were? If that cut were any deeper, I'd be looking at your body right now. She sighed. What a shame. I'll aim better next time. You want there to be a next time? I tied off the gauze, looking at her beautiful face with frustration. You treat your own life so carelessly. Do your parents know about this? The girl slowly lifted her eyelids to look at me. You're so nosy, old man. Do your parents know? It's Noah, and I'm only 2 years older than you, I snapped. I angrily pulled her to her feet. Worried she might pass out, I kept talking. Since you're calling me that, can you at least tell me why you did it? Why do you want to die? Isn't life good? Who wants to die if life is actually good? That shut me up. I couldn't argue with her. All I could do was pant as I dragged her out of the alley, terrified she'd bleed out and die right there. Is that all you've got? She still had the energy to criticize my physique. Your shoulder blades are sticking out. Shut up, I gritted out. Any more talking and you'll actually bleed to death. Jerk. Her tone was dripping with sarcasm. So what if I die? You're just scared of losing your job, aren't you? Her voice softened. What concern? You're just a heartless jerk. Anna didn't die, and I didn't lose my job. I just got a talking to from my supervisor. At breakfast, a colleague kindly warned me that patient in 23 is famously difficult. They've gone through several residents. Don't take it personally. He added, just ignore her. As long as it's not against protocol, let her do what she wants. I nodded, chewing on a cold bagel. Got it, thanks. He leaned in to say more, but the call bell went off, and he rushed away. Munching on my bagel, I opened the file for bed 23. Anna Miller, 19 years old, late-stage bone cancer. Those words, practically a death sentence, sat next to her name and age. On my second day with Anna, I truly understood how difficult she was. When it was time for her injection, she refused. Leaning against the headboard, scrolling through her phone without even a glance at me, she said flatly, Noah, is this junk really going to save my life? I tried to reason with her. But there's only hope of recovery if you actively get treatment. You're still so young. Hope? She cut me off, that beautiful, weary face turning to me with a sneer. Don't you know, Noah, that giving someone hope only to let them die in despair is the cruelest thing you can do? She sighed. Forget it. There's no point talking to healthy people like you. If it were me, I said, looking her straight in the eye, I'll say it again, if it were me, I would get the treatment. What if I survive? She looked away. I'm not stupid enough to believe in that kind of fairy tale ending. She glanced at my ID badge, reading my name. Noah, I'm not taking the shot. Go away before I start yelling. After our 2 brief encounters, I already knew how negative she was. I didn't try to persuade her further. Instead, I secretly pinched my own thigh hard. Tears instantly welled up in my eyes. But if you don't get the shot, my supervisor will yell at me. I might even lose my job. Without a job, I won't have money for food. Anna frowned, looking at me with disgust. Are you seriously trying to guilt-trip me? A dying person? Ain't no shame. I didn't say a word, just stared at her with teary eyes. After a long moment, Anna gave in. Fine, you win. She reluctantly held out her arm, sleeve carelessly rolled up, revealing a slender wrist. She muttered curses as she agreed to the injection. I knew it. Even after cutting her wrist, she still responded to my text and let me come get her. The girl's bark was worse than her bite, but maybe I was too nervous. My first ever injection as a professional went slightly off. I had to adjust the needle a few times, still unable to find the vein. Anna pressed her fingers to her temple, exasperated. What are you doing in there, the Macarena? You lost, buddy. I pulled the needle out, breaking into a nervous sweat. I couldn't even look at her as I apologized. I'll get it this time, I promise. I expected her to yell, but instead, she just laughed, a sound full of resignation. Using me for target practice, are we? Go ahead, Dr. Frankenstein. Get over with. Thank God, the second attempt was a success. I let out a sigh of relief and smiled at Anna. Thanks for your help. She closed her eyes, her voice laced with irritation. I didn't help you. I was just sick of you. She waved a dismissive hand. Now get out. I need to sleep. You got it. I packed up my things to leave. After a few steps, I turned back, pointing to my ID badge. By the way, my name is Noah, not No Hope. When I got home from work, the smell of dinner filled the air. You're back. My mom was sitting at the table, nibbling on a chicken wing. Come on, Mom got you a little cake. From that place on the east side you love. My mom, after more than 20 years of marriage, had been completely spoiled by my dad. In her 40s, she was more of a kid than I was. Awesome. I reached for the cake, but my dad slapped my hand away. Dinner first. He winked at me. Dad made your favorite. Meatloaf, last night's mac and cheese, and some roasted broccoli. I immediately gave in. Those three were my ultimate comfort foods. The gravy from the meatloaf drizzled over rice, mixed with the cheesy pasta and a piece of perfectly charred broccoli on the side. It was heaven. Dad's cooking was as good as ever. After we were full, Dad went to the kitchen to do the dishes. I sat on a couch with Mom, eating a bowl of washed strawberries and watching TV. I couldn't help but think how lucky I was. I hoped I could have 100 more years of days like this. But then, for some reason, my thoughts drifted to Anna. She was probably lying alone in a hospital bed that smelled of disinfectant, trying to sleep. She was a strange girl, prickly and sarcastic, yet quiet and withdrawn. When other people were in pain, they'd cry out. She would just bite her lip and endure it in silence. What a stubborn girl. Before bed, I was scrolling online and came across a blogger. The ID was Anathemia. The posts featured dark, atmospheric photos paired with nihilistic, world-weary text. I hate everything related to love. This world is rotten and broken, a field of withered branches and spoiled fruit. Death and decay are the only true endings. Nothing that gives people hope should exist. All so-called beauty should be destroyed, dirted, pulled down from its pedestal to fall with me into the abyss. The comments section was filled with negativity. Some people were even vaguely arranging to commit suicide together. It was chilling. The blogger's IP address was local, from the same city. The moment I saw the pictures and the name, I thought of Anna. The Anna in the username almost confirmed it for me. After some hesitation, I tried to reason with them in the comments. Don't give up on life. Life is beautiful. As long as you're alive, things will get better. Half an hour later, my comment had dozens of replies, all of them attacking me. Oh, look at the saint. Easy for you to say when you're not the one suffering. You think life is so great? Fine. You live it. The flood of malice was so overwhelming, I didn't know how to respond. I just quietly closed the app. Maybe Anna was right. Maybe I was just a nosy meddler. Because I lived in a happy family, I thought life was beautiful and full of hope. During morning rounds, Anna was curled up under the blankets, her face a sickly white. Not feeling well, she closed her eyes and ignored me. Is the pain back? Still no response. When I asked again, she snapped, her voice weak. I'm dying, okay. Can you just leave me alone? My hand, holding the pen, froze. But I'd gotten used to her temper, so I didn't get angry. Instead, I tried a softer approach. Please, just work with me here. If I don't get the details, I'll get chewed out. Anna rolled her eyes, annoyed. You're such a pain. But she answered. Spine hurts. Back hurts. A constant sharp pain, like a knife twisting between my bones. The kind that makes you wish you were dead. Detailed enough for you. She turned her head away. I'm going to sleep now. Okay. Thanks. Before I left, I stuck a colorful sticky note on her headboard. Anna glanced at it. What, you think I'm a kid? But she didn't throw it away. On the pink note, I had written a quote I'd read in a book. The wind can blow away a piece of paper, but not a butterfly, because the power of life lies in its refusal to surrender. During my lunch break, I was chatting with my colleagues. Noah, how are you handling bed 23? She hasn't caused any trouble since you took over. Yeah, she was a nightmare before you. I smiled, picking at my food. She's not a bad person, really. Just a bit prickly, like a startled kitten. You just have to know how to handle her. Just then, a group of people stepped out of the elevator. The woman in the lead wore a bright red trench coat and high heels, radiating power. Seeing me look over, my colleague Chris nudged my leg. That's 23's mother, he whispered. I was stunned. She looked so young. 30 at most. Chris shook his head and sighed. Get ready. It's about to get loud. A few minutes later, a piercing shout came from Anna's room. Who told you to come here? Her voice was so raw it sounded like it was tearing. I started to worry. Suddenly, the call bell for bed 23 went off. I rushed over. As I entered, I heard her mother's low voice. Anna, honey, I know you have issues with me, but this is your body. We have to treat this illness. Strangely, there was someone behind her filming with a camera. Anna was standing by the bed, barefoot on the cold tile floor, her face pale with fury. She saw me and yelled, Nurse, they're disturbing me. Get them out of here. I had to intervene. Ma'am, the patient is very agitated right now. It's best if you leave and let her rest. The woman didn't seem unreasonable. She looked at Anna. Then you get some rest. Call me if you need anything. We're family. Besides, you wouldn't want your father in the afterlife. Get out. Anna cut her off, grabbing a glass from the nightstand and hurling it. It grazed the woman's forehead and shattered against the wall. The group quickly escorted the woman out. The room was finally quiet. Get back in bed, I said, my voice sounding a bit abrupt. I stared at the floor. The tiles are cold. Anna didn't answer, but she obediently climbed back into bed. Her hand, resting on the edge of the mattress, was clenched so tightly the veins on her knuckles bulged. When she looked up, I saw her eyes were red. I hesitated at the door. Are you okay? I asked softly. She turned her face away, silent, burying herself under the covers, clenching her jaw to hold back her emotions. I was worried the intense emotional swing would affect her condition. I tried to comfort her. Did you and your mom have a misunderstanding? She shot me a glare. Who told you she's my mom? She's the woman my dad married. Her tone was harsh. He killed my real mom. You don't know anything, so don't stand there and preach. Can you stop being so nauseating? Her red-rimmed eyes and the faint sarcasm in her voice stung me, especially the word nauseating. It instantly reminded me of the flood of hateful comments online that night. A wave of emotion washed over me, and I felt like I was going to cry. I didn't understand why people met my kindness with such scorn. I was afraid that kids who hadn't fully formed their values would be led astray by negative posts online and give up on life. I was worried that a patient's emotional state would affect their health, so I tried to help. And all of it was just being nosy. As I was leaving the room, I heard Anna's voice behind me. She started to say something, then stopped. I didn't pause, my heart heavy, like a glass of sour lemonade had been poured into it. Anna was my first patient, and the most difficult one. I monitored her condition every day, sat with her, encouraged her, tried to find ways to make her feel better. I had to admit, I paid more attention to this beautiful, fading girl, only 2 years younger than me, than to any other patient. I was afraid to think too deeply about what that meant. After that day, my relationship with Anna took a nosedive. She reverted to her old self, difficult and uncooperative. I just silently endured it. This Cold War lasted for a week. On Friday, I was checking the 4 for the patient in bed too. I was getting yelled at by her family. The patient had pressed the call button, saying her 4 wasn't dripping. I went to check and saw the needle was fine, so I pinched the tube to see if it was blocked. Suddenly, the woman started shouting, "Did you wash your hands? Just pinching the tube like that? What if you push air in?" I had never encountered a situation like this. I awkwardly pulled my hand back. "That won't cause a backflow, and it definitely won't." "You say it won't, so it won't?" She rolled her eyes at me. "What do you know? You're just an intern, barely out of school, and you're trying to lecture me? Where's your supervisor? Get them in here." Long-term illness had wasted her away to skin and bones, making her sharp, upturned eyes look even more shrewish. My attempts to explain were drowned out by her escalating voice until her husband walked in. "What's going on?" The woman, who had been so imperious just a moment ago, suddenly burst into tears. "This new doctor is targeting me. He was messing with my 4 tube. His attitude was terrible, and he yelled at me." The patient in the next bed couldn't stand it. "The doctor's attitude was fine. He was trying to help you, but you started yelling at him from the get-go." Her husband's face darkened. "So what if I yelled at him? He's here to serve us. If he can't take it, he should find another job. My wife is the patient. Can't you people cut her some slack? What's so great about being a healthcare hero? Does that give you the right to yell at patients?" I couldn't help but retort. I didn't yell at her. The man grabbed my collar and shoved me, about to get physical. The family member from the next bed ran over to break it up, and the scene descended into chaos. Suddenly, someone stepped in front of me and kicked the man's wrist. He cried out in pain and let go. It was Anna. She pushed me back, and without a word, grabbed a nearby thermos and threw it at him. I snapped back to reality and quickly pulled her away. "I'm fine, don't do this." She glanced at me, making sure I was okay, then tossed the thermos aside and pointed at the middle-aged woman. "If you can't afford treatment, then pack your bags and go home. Don't go around trying to scam people. And if you want to cause trouble, come find me next door. I'm dying anyway, so it's no loss to do something crazy. The medical staff is busy. This has nothing to do with them, understand?" The couple was clearly the type to bully the weak and fear the strong. They nodded repeatedly. Just then, I noticed a smudge of blood on the back of Anna's hand, near her foresight. She must have heard the commotion, pulled out her own 4, and run over. That fool. Maybe Anna's outburst intimidated the couple. For the next week, until the patient in bed 20 was discharged, they didn't cause any more trouble, and they never filed a complaint. My relationship with Anna started to thaw. That evening, Chris slung an arm around my shoulder. "You two finally made up. You have no idea how dark her mood was during that week you were fighting." I practically had to take a detour to avoid her room. When she gets mad, nobody can stop her. I blushed. "Don't say it like that. It sounds like Anna and I are a couple." I started packing up to leave. Chris was still gossiping. "Hey, Noah, you're only, 2 years older than her, right?" "Yeah." Chris sighed. "You know, you two would actually make a great couple. It's just a shame about her illness." "I'm leaving," I said, too embarrassed to hear anymore. I didn't even wait for the elevator, just ran for the stairwell. But I unexpectedly ran into a familiar figure. I froze, not even turning around as I cursed. Oh, for crying out loud. I thought Anna would obediently come back to her room with me, but she paused, then suddenly bolted down the stairs. I chased after her, out of breath, and watched as she got into a taxi. Worried something would happen, I hailed another one. "Sir, follow that cab." The driver was nosy. "Chasing your girlfriend? Did you two have a fight?" I answered without thinking. "The jerk cheated on me." "Hold on tight," the driver said, his expression serious. "I'm the best in the business. I'll make sure you catch that girl." He wasn't lying. He expertly tailed her to a vibrant neighborhood full of food trucks. The meter read $42. I handed him a 50. "Thanks, keep the change." Anna didn't seem to know I was following her. She wandered through the smoky, lively area, her yellow hospital bracelet on her wrist. She finally stopped at a taco truck. The guy running it was young, about Anna's age, skinny with a sharp jaw, and a cheerful way of talking. I heard him call her Anna and ask why she hadn't been around in so long. They seemed to know each other well. I suddenly remembered Anna once telling me she had someone she wanted to protect. This must be the guy. The thought made my chest feel tight, probably from the smoke from a nearby grill. I heard her tell him she was hungry. 2 orders of tacos, one with extra hot sauce and extra lime. The guy looked up confused. Since when do you eat spicy food? Suddenly, Anna turned and her gaze cut through the haze, right to me. Follow me all this way. You must be hungry. Not brave enough to give a shot, but brave enough to stalk someone, huh, Noah? I was caught off guard, standing there awkwardly, forgetting to even tell her to get back to the hospital. The guy immediately put down his spatula, looking at me defensively like a guard dog. Who's he? My doctor, Anna said nonchalantly. But my heart sank a little further. The guy's expression softened, and he went back to the grill. Anna asked him to need a hand. Get out of here, he said, pushing her away. The smoke is too much. Stand back. I couldn't help but study the guy. He was thin, maybe 100 pounds on a 6-foot frame, but he handled the heavy-duty spatula with surprising ease. Soon, 2 orders of tacos were ready. He slammed one down in front of me, his face sullen. Enjoy. Anna seemed used to his bad mood. She unwrapped a set of plastic utensils and handed them to me with a smile. Try his tacos. They're amazing. I took a bite and instantly burst into tears. Not because they were delicious, but because they were unbelievably spicy. He had hidden a mountain of jalapenos under the toppings, and the amount of lime was lethal. The extreme sour and spicy flavors exploded on my tongue. My tears startled Anna. Without a second thought, she grabbed my fork, took a bite of my taco, and her face immediately changed. The guy, Leo, was cleaning the grill, so guilty he couldn't even look up. What? You told me to make it extra spicy and sour for the old man. Old man? The word hit me like a punch to the gut. I suddenly remembered my first meeting with Anna, in that dark alley, her lips curved in a smirk, full of contempt for the world as she maliciously called me old man. These two were definitely alike. Anna clearly remembered it too. She glanced at me, a rare look of embarrassment on her face. You sit here. I'll make you another one. She knew how to make tacos. A few minutes later, a fresh, fragrant plate of tacos was placed in front of me. Eat up. Thanks. How much is it? I can pay. I added. And after you eat, you have to go back to the hospital. You're still a patient. You can't be running around. She waved her hand impatiently. I know. I have to say, Anna's cooking was pretty good. I devoured the entire plate. When I was done, I looked up at her. Back to the hospital. Anna laughed, exasperated. Are you an NPC or something? She got up and walked over to the guy's truck, tossing a bank card on the counter. It's Chloe's birthday soon. I wanted to get her a gift, but I haven't had a chance to get out. You take her shopping, and save the rest for her school fund. She put a cigarette in her mouth, but when she saw me reach for a lighter, she paused and put it away. That kid is smart. Make sure she studies hard. She'll have a bright future. The guy pushed the card back. I don't want it. Anna's face hardened. Leo, are you going to listen to your sister or not? Stop arguing. I told you to take it, so take it. On the bus, to make sure Anna didn't run off again, I decided to take her back to the hospital before going home myself. We sat side by side in the last row. The window was open, and the wind whipped through, messing up Anna's long hair, but failing to disperse the clean, pure, slightly broken scent of a teenage girl that clung to her. On an impulse, I asked, Is he your boyfriend? The moment the words left my mouth, I regretted it, afraid Anna would get the wrong idea. I was about to explain, but her voice came first. No, we grew up together. He's like family, like a little brother. She continued, He has a younger sister. The two of them don't have much family, but they get by. I thought Anna, with her usual personality, would be too lazy to say more, but she looked out the window and explained patiently. He saved me once when we were kids. I practically watched him and Chloe grow up. They're like my own brother and sister. He just has a sharp tongue, but he's a good person. Don't mind what happened earlier. I quickly shook my head. It's fine. I wasn't really going to hold a grudge against the kid. The bus was surprisingly empty. We sat in the back, listening to the wind howl, talking intermittently. For some reason, I felt that the Anna of tonight was a little different from her usual self. To be specific, it was her state of mind. The usual world weariness was gone. She was relaxed and peaceful, as if something had happened that made her, for a brief moment, forgive the world. We returned to the hospital, one after the other. I watched her go back to her room, and when I turned around, I ran right into Chris. "Noah, I thought you left for the day." "Ah, I came back to get something," I lied instinctively. For some reason, I, who was usually so eager to share everything, suddenly didn't want to tell anyone what had just happened. The gentle girl on the bus felt like a secret just between me and Anna. Anna was starting chemo. She had always resisted it, refused medication, injections, any form of treatment. I don't know what changed, but suddenly she was cooperating. In those eyes that had been like stagnant water, a flicker of something called the will to live seemed to appear. But Anna's body was frail, and chemo was hard on her, with severe side effects. I was worried about her and secretly encouraged her. Every day during rounds, I would quietly stick a note on her headboard. On it, I would handwrite a message for her. Sometimes it was an encouraging quote I'd copied. "Saw this in a book today. Life is never as good as you imagine, but it's never as bad as you imagine either. People's fragility and strength are both beyond their own imagination." Sometimes it was a compliment. "Heard the man in the next bed complimenting you today. Said your eyes are especially beautiful. Also said that even though you don't talk much, you're fundamentally a kind person." I think so too. But most of the time, it was just me sharing small, sometimes beautiful, sometimes boring, trivial things from my day. Saw a blue butterfly today. It was so beautiful. It flew around my head twice like it was saying hello. Heard there's a meteor shower at 9 tonight. Remember to make a wish. I'm going to make 3. 1. I hope my parents, Anna, and I can all live long lives. 2. I hope I win $5 million in the lottery this week. As for the 3rd, I'm saving it for now. Anna was always cold about it, never even glancing at the notes. The next time I entered her room, the sticky note would invariably be gone. I often wondered if she ever even read the things I wrote every day. Until one morning I wrote on the note, "Got yelled at today, feeling a bit down. Hope you'll be good for your injection later." When I want to give her the shot later, Anna was exceptionally cooperative. She held out her arm without a fuss, didn't cry out in pain, and didn't complain that I was slow. As I was about to leave, she grabbed the corner of my shirt with her other hand and said in a low voice, "Here." A piece of chocolate was pressed into my palm. She looked away, her expression a little awkward. When you're feeling really down, eat something bitter. Fight fire with fire. Don't be upset. You look ugly when you're sad. I stared at the chocolate in my hand for a moment, then smiled at her. "Thanks." But Anna was wrong. The chocolate wasn't bitter at all. It was sweet. Just as Anna's chemo side effects were about to kick in, my world was struck by lightning. I discovered my dad's secret on his phone. He was having an affair with a colleague, a single mother with a daughter. I had met her a few times, always calling her Miss King. And her 7-year-old daughter was my dad's illegitimate child. I found a second iMessage account on his phone that he had forgotten to switch out of, one he used exclusively to communicate with Miss King and her daughter. He was even in the parents' group chat for the child's elementary school. It was the first time in my 20 years that I had seen my dad cry. He sobbed, slapping himself hard across the face. "Noah, it was my fault. I'm so sorry. I let your mother down. I'm not a man." The slaps were relentless, and his cheeks quickly became red and swollen. I frowned, watching him. I felt a pang of pity, but mostly I was just numb with shock and sadness. I grew up hearing people talk about how much my dad loved my mom. I had seen his love for her with my own eyes. For over 20 years of marriage, he had treated her like a princess, doing everything for her, truly making it so she never had to lift a finger. They rarely fought. In my memory, every argument ended with my dad apologizing within half an hour, then cooking a table full of my mom's favorite dishes to make her happy. But that man, who loved my mother so much, had another family on the side, and a 7-year-old daughter. My dad begged me, through his tears, "Noah, it was my fault. I'll break it off with him completely. You can't tell your mother about this. You know her temper. She can't stand this kind of thing. Noah, you can't destroy our family. I'm the one destroying this family?" I closed my eyes, fighting back the grief. The moment you decided to have another family, ours was already destroyed. I still chose to tell my mother. She had the right to know. I didn't want her to find out one day and realize in despair that everyone, including the son she carried for 10 months, had been lying to her. I told her everything, my voice trembling, and showed her the photos and videos. My mom was calm throughout, eerily so. The woman who used to drink with her friends, her face flushed and loudly declare, "David, if you ever dare to have another woman, I'll kill you, you bastard," was now, in the face of true betrayal, accepting it all with quiet composure. "Mom," I looked at her, my heart aching. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." She could even manage a smile. "Do I look like I'm not okay?" She took a bottle of red wine from the cabinet, poured a glass, and sat cross-legged on the sofa, sipping it. "It's just an affair. No big deal." After finishing her wine, my mom spoke. "Call your father. Tell him to come home for dinner." I stared in disbelief as my mother walked into the kitchen. She tied on an apron and started cooking, something she hadn't really done in years. My dad came home quickly. As soon as he walked in, he glanced at my face and understood everything. He walked quickly to the kitchen, his hand reaching for the doorknob. But then, as if all his strength had been drained, he didn't open it. He just stood there, outside the glass door, as if rooted to the spot, until my mom came out with the food. She had made 4 dishes, simple home cooking, but they looked and smelled incomplete. Sliced lotus root salad, boiled shrimp, sour and spicy shredded potatoes, and a plate of scrambled eggs with tomatoes. My dad reached out with trembling hands to take the dishes from her. My mom didn't refuse. She even smiled at him. "Let's eat." My dad suddenly dropped to his knees with a thud and started slapping himself again. He apologized over and over. "I was wrong. I'm not human. I shouldn't have done something so despicable." In stark contrast to my dad sobbing was my mom's calm. She poured herself more wine, then finally looked at him. "Get up. What does it look like, a grown man kneeling on the floor?" When my dad didn't move, her voice hardened. "Don't act like such a coward in front of your son. You had the guts to do it for years. So why are you crying now that you've been caught?" She said, "Get up and eat." That meal was the most painful and suffocating our family of 3 ever had. I couldn't figure out my mom's attitude. She acted like nothing was wrong the entire time, eating and drinking, until she put down her chopsticks. "These 4 dishes are what we ate the first time we met. Remember?" My dad nodded, his eyes red again. "I remember." My mom cleared the dishes, her voice as calm as if she were saying she forgot to put salt in a dish. "Let's eat it one more time. Our time as husband and wife is over. Let's go to the courthouse tomorrow morning and get the papers signed." The house was in chaos. My dad drank a lot, repeating the same 2 things over and over. "I'm not getting a divorce. I'll die before I get a divorce." He kept apologizing to my mom. In his emotional state, my dad tearfully grabbed my mom's hand, and despite her struggles, he pulled her into a rough embrace, trying to soothe her like he used to. I stepped forward to intervene, but my dad suddenly slapped me across the face. He was strong, and it hurt. He glared at me with red eyes. "Haven't I been good enough to you all these years? Now your mom wants to divorce me. Our family is falling apart. Are you happy now?" "You're insane," my mom screamed. She didn't hesitate to slap him back for me, but that wasn't enough. The woman who had been so calm and accepting suddenly went berserk, punching and kicking my dad. "How dare you hit my son? You did this shameless thing, and you have a nerve to blame it on him? Get out. Get out of my house." I had never seen my mother like this. She was frantic, furious, hysterical. I held her, my heart aching. "You still have me. You still have me." It turned out my mother's calm had all been a front. After my dad left, she collapsed in my arms, sobbing until she could barely breathe. I think she never once doubted that she would grow old with my dad. She never imagined that the man who had held her in the palm of his hand and spoiled her for over 20 years had been deceiving her all along. My mother cried herself to sleep. I lay beside her, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Suddenly, my phone vibrated. It was a message from Anna. "Did you see the meteors?" I made a wish. When I didn't reply after a while, she messaged me again. "Aren't you going to ask me what I wish for?" I typed numbly. "What did you wish for?" "I wish for my illness to get better, and for Dr. Noah to be happy forever." I don't know if it was fate, but tonight, Anna was being unusually gentle. 2 wishes. Whichever one is easier to grant will come true. For some reason, I, who had been holding it all together, who hadn't cried even when the dad who had spoiled me for 20 years slapped me, suddenly burst into tears at the sight of Anna's message. The tears dripped onto the screen, blurring my vision. Then let Anna get better soon. That one's easier. The next day, as soon as I walked into her room, Anna's eyes were on my face. When I was giving her the injection, she didn't act up. She just stared at my face and said in a low voice, "Something on your mind? You're not happy." It wasn't a question, but a statement. "No," I said, looking down as I prepared the 4. For some reason, whenever Anna showed me concern, I felt an urge to cry. After the injection, as I was asking Anna about her condition the previous night, she looked at me seriously and said, "It didn't hurt." The old man in the next bed chimed in. "What do you mean it didn't hurt?" This young lady was in so much pain, last night her face was white as a sheet. She was still typing on her phone, though. Young people shouldn't be so stubborn. If you're not feeling well, you have to tell the doctor. I quickly walked back. "You had a reaction last night? Why didn't you say anything?" Anna turned her head away and didn't speak. After I questioned her about her symptoms, she finally explained in a very soft voice, "You were in a bad mood. I didn't want you to worry. You're an idiot." Before I left, Anna called out to me again. After a moment of hesitation, she pointed to the headboard. The note. She pulled out a yellow sticky note from somewhere. Yesterday's note. Her voice was low, almost twitchy. "You haven't written today's yet." After a busy morning, I finally had a moment to write Anna's sticky note. But I picked up the pen several times, unsure of what to write. I suddenly understood why people had called me a saint before. When you live in happiness, all you see is the beautiful, kind side of the world. I tried to tell others that life was beautiful and full of hope, but I forgot that they were already trapped in the mud, unable to see the light. I wrote and tore up several notes today. In the end, I didn't copy any inspiring, healing quotes. I just wrote, very seriously, "I'm in a really, really bad mood today, but seeing you seems to make it a little better. I hope you feel the same way when you see me." After writing it, I blushed, afraid that my feelings were leaking out between the lines, that she would see them. I was hesitating whether to tear it up when someone snatched it from my hand. I looked up. It was Anna, holding her 4-pole with one hand and the sticky note with the other. Her eyes scanned the words. I was suddenly nervous, worried she would understand, and worried she wouldn't. Anna read it for a long time, her expression unchanging. She just quietly put the note away. But when she spoke, her voice was soft and she smiled. "Me too." It wasn't until she walked away with her 4-pole that I realized what she meant. "Me too," as in, I feel better when I see you too. I was on the night shift. At 2 in the morning, I went to the bathroom, and as I passed the stairwell, I heard a faint noise. Through the slightly ajar door, I saw Anna in her hospital gown, bent over, clutching the handrail. When Anna, who was crying from the pain, heard the door open, she stiffened and stood up straight, not wanting anyone to see her vulnerability. It wasn't until I softly called her name that she paused. After a long moment, she turned and sat down on the stairs, her elbows on her knees. Her knuckles were white from clenching the rail so tightly. I crouched in front of her. It was the first time I had been this close to her, really looking at her. Anna had a stunningly beautiful face. Her features were soft, but because of her bad temper, the way she used to look down at people always gave off a world-weary vibe. "Does it hurt a lot?" I offered her my hand. "If it hurts, you can squeeze my hand." Anna stared at my hand, but didn't move. Her face was pale with pain. She endured it, refusing to make a sound. Her words were still tough. "No," but for some reason, the tears I had been holding back for so long suddenly fell. Anna was not supposed to be a good person to confide in, but in that moment, in the quiet, lonely night, I couldn't stop myself from pouring out my heart to her like spilling beans from a bamboo tube. Anna listened quietly. Then, fighting through her pain, she gently took my hand. Her hand was cold and a little sweaty, but it wasn't unpleasant. She tried to speak several times, as if she didn't know how to comfort me. Finally, she started to tell me about her own past. When she was 2, her father caught her mother cheating. He went to confront them and got into an argument with the other man on the street. There was a car accident, and her mother died. Her father quickly married the other woman, and Anna became the biggest eyesore in her stepmother's eyes. Her stepmother insisted on calling her Annabelle in a mocking tone. Whenever her father was home, Anna wasn't allowed to eat at the table. She had to squat by the side, and her weak, spineless father could only watch, occasionally holding her with a pained expression and telling her to endure it. She endured it for over a decade. If it weren't for her stepmother's celebrity status and the need to maintain a good stepmom image in public, no one would have supported her, let alone paid for her medical treatment. After she was hospitalized, her father never visited. Her stepmother came twice, both times with a camera crew for a photo op to boost her popularity. She held my hand and softly recounted these painful, humiliating memories. Our hands were clasped tightly, but there was nothing romantic about it. It was just two people purely comforting each other, the warmth of our palms spreading between us, until her hand gradually warmed up too. My tears wouldn't stop. At first, it was because of my parents, but now, it was because my heart ached for Anna. Her life had been too hard. Her childhood was already so tragic, and now fate wouldn't even give her a chance at a happy future. I had heard the doctors talk about her prognosis. It wasn't optimistic. Anna asked me why I was crying again. I couldn't bring myself to tell her it was for her. I deliberately changed the subject, mentioning the local blogger I had seen named Anathemia. To my surprise, it wasn't her. I showed her the posts from that day. Anna glanced at them and handed the phone back, explaining seriously, "That's not me. When I see something beautiful, my first instinct isn't to destroy it." She looked me straight in the eye, her voice soft and slow. "It's to protect it. If I like a flower, I don't think about picking it and ruining it. I just want to watch it quietly and wait for it to bloom." She raised her hand and wiped my tears. "You're soft-hearted and kind. That's the most beautiful thing about you. Don't worry about what other people say." She turned her wrist over to show me. It was covered in a dense network of old scars. "I listened to what you said. I haven't tried to kill myself again. I haven't hurt myself." She looked at me and smiled. "I think Dr. Noah is right. There's still a lot of beauty in this world." That night, in the cold, dim stairwell, two hearts found solace in each other, becoming each other's brief salvation. We encouraged each other, saying that after Anna's chemo, when she was better, we would take a bus to the northernmost part of the country, go to a primeval forest, and see the aurora borealis together. We talked about my family. My dad refused to agree to the divorce. He would wait downstairs every day, hoping my mom would soften. He had also come to me many times, crying and apologizing, trying to use our happy memories as a family of three to make me change my mind. When Anna heard this, she just told me very seriously, "Don't forgive him on your mother's behalf." Anna was right. Whether to forgive him or not was my mother's decision. After my night shift, I took a taxi home. As I got to my building, I heard sounds of a struggle. My mom was holding a coat, clearly on her way down to meet me, but my dad was blocking her way. His eyes were red. "Honey, I really know I was wrong. Can't you just give me one more chance? We've been together for over 20 years. How can you just leave like that? Don't you feel anything?" He started to choke up. "Search your conscience. Besides this one mistake, have I ever treated you badly in these 20 years? I didn't want you to have to work. I didn't want you to do housework. I just wanted you to be happy and comfortable at home. Are you going to negate 20 years of my effort because of this one mistake?" My mom looked at him calmly, but her voice was breaking. "No one is negating your past efforts. Everyone has seen how good you've been to me and Noah these 20 years. But good deeds and bad deeds don't cancel each other out. And you weren't the only one putting effort into this marriage. You love to drink. Every time you came home drunk, even in the middle of the night, I would get up and make you soup to sober you up and clean up the mess you made on the floor. You care about your image, so I always made sure to support you in public. You didn't like me being in the spotlight, so I gave up my career to take care of our son at home. David, let's part on good terms. After 20 years of marriage, be a man and leave with dignity. Don't make me lose respect for you." My parents eventually divorced. My mom had the papers drawn up. As the at-fault party, my dad left with nothing. The house and savings all went to me and my mom. My dad agreed. On the day he signed, his hand trembled so much that it took him several tries to write his three-letter name. I watched from the side, feeling nothing but irony. Anna's reaction to the chemo was getting worse. Vomiting, hair loss. She lost about 15 pounds. The already slender girl now had a jaw so sharp it looked painful. My heart ached for her. Sometimes I had to brace myself mentally before even entering her room. The first time I saw her, she had cut her wrist and was sitting in a dilapidated alley, her hand covered in blood, her face full of a world-weary indifference. She was still a beautiful, defiant girl, but in just a few short months, the illness had worn her down. Her bones protruded sharply after the weight loss. Her head was shaved due to hair loss from chemo, and her face was getting paler and paler. I couldn't help but want to cry whenever I saw her. It got to the point where Anna, the patient, had to comfort me. "Dr. Noah, what do you think of my new haircut? Pretty cool, right?" The injection today didn't hurt at all. I ate 2 bowls of rice for lunch. I feel like I could eat a whole cow. "Here, this is the new chocolate I bought. Next time you feel like crying, eat a piece. Fight fire with fire." Dr. Noah, I think I saw that blue butterfly you mentioned today. It really is beautiful. The once rebellious, negative, and difficult girl was now, in the midst of her own suffering, trying to comfort me in her own way, over and over again. One day, when I was so busy I could barely think, I heard a vaguely familiar voice. I looked up and was surprised to see Leo. He had a girl of about 12 or 13 with him. He looked at me with red eyes and said in a low voice, "Do you remember me?" "I remember," I nodded. "Anna's in roommate. You could go see her. I'm a bit busy right now." "Okay." When I finished my work and looked up, I saw he was still standing in the hallway. "Can't find a room?" "No." He sniffled. "Bro, is Anna? Is she gonna die?" He said the last 2 words so softly, as if saying them out loud would scare him. My heart clenched and my nose started to burn. "Don't say that. She'll get better." Leo looked down, tears streaming down his face. Anna never told us the truth. She just said she had a stomach bug and was in the hospital for some rest. And I actually believed her. Afraid he would see my own red eyes, I looked down and shuffled the papers on my desk, arranging and rearranging them. "She didn't want you to worry. You guys go in and see her." They both shook their heads. Anna is a very proud person. She's always acted like our big sister, even though we're not related by blood. She's always protected us. She's so proud. She didn't tell us because she didn't want us to see her like this. He and his sister exchanged a look, both on the verge of tears. We decided to pretend we don't know. We'll just watch her from outside the room. We saved up some money. We paid it into Anna's hospital account. "Please, use the best medicine for her. You have to save her." The young man was about to kneel in front of me. I quickly stopped him. "What are you doing? There are people watching." I took a deep breath, suppressing the wave of sadness. Anna's family has been paying her hospital bills. We're already using the best medicine for her. We'll do our best. Just then, Anna's call bell rang. She needed her medication changed. The siblings followed me, crying softly as we walked. I deliberately left the door to her room open. When I was changing Anna's medication, she was in good spirits. She was propped up against the headboard, telling me a terrible joke she had just read. A guy who loved telling bad jokes went to the beach one day to tell jokes. He never came back. "Why? Why?" "Because of the tsunami," she laughed. I forced a laugh. "That's a really bad joke." "Right." Anna raised an eyebrow. "I thought so too." She paused, then glanced nonchalantly towards the door and asked in a low voice, "Are those 2 idiots gone?" I was stunned. "You knew?" "Yeah. I was going to the bathroom earlier and saw them standing there crying." "Should I call them in?" Anna shook her head. "If they saw me like this, they'd just cry harder. Besides," she laughed self-deprecatingly, "I look pretty pathetic right now, don't I?" I covered her with the blanket and whispered, "Don't say that. The doctor said you're recovering well." After that day, Leo and his sister came to the hospital almost every day. They wouldn't go into the room, just peek from the doorway. Sometimes they would bring food and drinks and ask me to give them to Anna, telling me to say I bought them. But Anna was smart. I never managed to fool her. All three of them were good people, carefully and kindly hiding the truth from each other, caring for each other in their own way. Unfortunately, Anna's body did not, as everyone had hoped, gradually get better. The chemo failed to eradicate the cancer cells that had spread throughout her body. Instead, the daily treatments slowly drained her of her last bit of energy. Anna had been actively fighting, her growing will to live, carrying her through the 4 major snowstorms of that winter. Tomorrow was the first day of spring. Anna and I had made a plan to eat spring rolls together and then go for a walk on the lawn below the inpatient building. Before she went to sleep, she was still murmuring, "I hope I can see that blue butterfly again tomorrow." But 9 o'clock that night, Anna suddenly started vomiting large amounts of blood. We found her and rushed her to the emergency room as fast as we could. But she wouldn't let go of my hand. Her hand was so thin, just lean shin bones and protruding veins, clinging to my hand with all her might. I was sobbing. "Listen to me. The doctors will save you. I'll be right outside the door. Anna, you've made it this far. Don't give up now. We still have to go for our walk tomorrow." She smiled at me slowly, then with great difficulty, she pressed something into my hand before finally letting go. Anna was wheeled into the emergency room. I leaned against the wall, feeling as if all my strength had been drained away, my body slowly sliding down. The object in my palm was warm from her grip. I opened my hand. It was a piece of chocolate. Anna's words echoed in my mind. "When you're feeling bitter and want to cry, eat a piece of chocolate. Fight bitterness with bitterness. Fight fire with fire." My chest felt like a huge stone was crushing it, making it impossible to breathe. I sat on the cold tile floor outside the emergency room, my thoughts frozen, my mind a complete blank. I don't know how much time passed before the emergency room door opened and I saw a doctor walk out. My legs were numb, and I couldn't stand up. The doctor looked at me. "Are you Anna Miller's family? Has anyone come?" I shook my head and whispered, "No." Beside me, even Chris was covering his mouth, trying not to cry. After all this time, even Chris, who had once avoided this difficult patient at all costs, was heartbroken. But I didn't shed a single tear. My chest was so tight, it was suffocating, like a 1,000-pound weight was pressing on my heart, so dense, so airless. I numbly pushed away the people trying to help me up and frantically searched my pockets. The chocolate? Where's the chocolate Anna gave me? I finally found it. I tore open the wrapper with trembling hands and shoved the whole piece into my mouth. "Anna, you were right. When you fight bitterness with bitterness, you don't want to cry anymore. But I did everything you said. Where are you?" Anna was a jerk, a liar. She had promised me a spring day, but she left forever on the night before spring arrived. Her departure was so sudden, so unexpected, it destroyed my spring with the force of a hurricane. After she was gone, I could never look at the first day of spring the same way again. Her family, who had been absent during her final moments, showed up after she died. The woman cried hysterically for the cameras, saying how tragic it was that her stepdaughter had died so young from a terrible illness. Anna's pathetic father also knelt on the ground, fat tears rolling down his face. But I wondered how many of those tears were genuine and how many were just regret. They gave Anna a grand funeral. To maintain her good stepmother image, she even spent a fortune on a prime burial plot for Anna. At the funeral, I saw Leo and his sister again. Their eyes were bloodshot and full of grief, but they held back their tears. I didn't cry either, because Anna had said she hated seeing me cry. She wanted everyone who came to see her off to be smiling, to be able to tell her with a smile, "Anna, you were amazing. You fought this world until the very end." I followed the funeral procession to the cemetery. It was only then that I realized I had witnessed all the final moments of Anna's life. I saw her attempt suicide with a look of contempt on her face. I saw her actively fight for her life. I saw her tormented by illness until she lost her life. And finally, I saw her reduced to a pile of ashes and buried in a grave with only a black and white photo on the headstone. The girl in the photo had a beautiful, world-weary face, but her eyes were clear and bright. Anna's belongings were few. There was only a small box that had once held chocolates. Inside were dozens of carefully preserved sticky notes, all the messages I'd written to her. I picked them up with trembling hands and discovered that she had written a reply on the back of each one. Her handwriting, like her, was strong and sharp. Since meeting Noah, life has been a little better than I imagined. Heard the man in the next bed complimenting him today. Said he was gentle and handsome. I think the man is right. Saw the blue butterfly Noah mentioned today. It was beautiful. If I'm not lucky enough to be cured, I hope I can become a blue butterfly and visit Dr. Noah one more time. Saw the meteors tonight. Too bad Dr. Noah wasn't here. I actually lied to him. I didn't make 2 wishes. It's a waste for someone with a body like mine to make wishes. I just wish for Dr. Noah to be happy for the rest of his life. Every single one was filled with the responses she had never spoken aloud. Dozens of sticky notes, and she never once said the word love, but love was deafening in every stroke of her pen. Among Anna's belongings was also a letter, written who knows how long in advance. It was in a formal envelope, addressed, for Dr. Noah's eyes only. I took a long time to prepare myself before I opened the letter with trembling hands. It took me even longer to read it, bit by bit. Dr. Noah, I'm sorry to say that by the time you read this letter, I will have already left this world. When people imagine the scene after they're gone, they tend to get sentimental. I can't help but write, what a shame. What a shame that in my most painful and helpless moments, I met the person who made me want to live for him. But since you're reading this letter, it means I failed. I still remember the first time I met you. Because you were soft-hearted, I told you my location. A little while later, I saw a young man running frantically into the alley. I don't know why, but in that moment, when I had no attachment to this world, I suddenly didn't want to die. I called you old man just to mess with you. Thinking back on it, I was like a little kid in school who teases the girl he likes. Mean and stupid. Thank you, Dr. Noah. You let me experience the beauty of the world in the last days of my life. On the bus that time, you asked me if Leo was my boyfriend. I knew you were just asking casually, and I knew that a dying waste like me would never have anything to do with you. But I couldn't help but explain that he was just my little brother, not my boyfriend. Because I didn't want you to misunderstand and think I liked another guy. There's so much more I want to say, but this paper is too short. So I'll end it here. I hope, Dr. Noah, that you will live a long and happy life, that all your wishes will come true, and that you will meet someone who loves you very, very much. With love, your Anna.